G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. I'm going to talk again about Bitcoin. I've had a few attempts at it. This is probably my fifth or maybe sixth vlog about Bitcoin, but it's one of those topics that is just so intriguing and so interesting at the moment that I guess every snippet, every slither of information that we can garner from different sources helps us piece together the puzzle and allows us at least to have an understanding of what Bitcoin is all about and how it could change the way we deal with money in the future. But I do note that at the moment Bitcoin is in a trading range between 31,000 US and about 41,000. So there's a 10,000 trading range where it can vary within a week. So there's a lot of money to be made and a lot of money to be lost if you're trading on a weekly basis. But at the moment, Bitcoin, from what I saw last night, was trading at about 31 to 32,000 US, and it's very important at the moment that Bitcoin continues to bounce from 31,000, because if it falls through the support of 31,000, then there's an air pocket all the way down to about 20,000 or less. So we could see a panicked sell-off, which I don't know. I don't expect to see, but it is possible. I've been trading shares with my broker for years, and I've seen a lot of weird things that you don't think are possible. You buy in at a level, and you think it's a cheap level, and all of a sudden it drops and it drops and it drops to the point where you just feel like vomiting. It's so bad. Interestingly enough, from a technical perspective, anybody today, I'm talking about today, anybody who has bought into Bitcoin since January this year, so over the past 6 months, are probably looking at being in the red at the moment. So what you'll notice is a lot of Bitcoin speculators or traders are very quiet at the moment, because I've been in that situation with my shares. When things are going good, we can crow. We're happy, we whistle, we're friendly, we're engaging, we're all of those sorts of things. But when things go bad, all of a sudden you zip it, and you just want to hide under a rock. It just becomes so painful. Anyway, let's have an attempt to understand Bitcoin a little bit better, just so we understand how it's all made up and what makes it function. And I'm going to go through a book here entitled Digital Gold by an author named Nathaniel Popper. And we're hoping, for Nathaniel's perspective, that Bitcoin pops from 31,000 US. Not that I'm invested. I'm not invested in Bitcoin. I always say that I'm interested at 30,000. I'm even more interested at 20,000 US to throw a few coins into the super fund, or to buy a couple of coins for the granddaughters. But time will tell. We'll see. Anyway, this book, entitled Digital Gold, basically goes through and tells us a little bit more about Bitcoin, which is a digital form of gold. So the author here is quite prophetic when they wrote this book. And I don't know when this book was written, but if it was written at any point in time over the past 6 months, the author here says that it's either going to change everything. So Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies are either going to change everything or nothing. Everything or nothing. So there you go. He's taking an each way bet. So either it's going to change everything or it's going to change nothing. that doesn't fill you with very much confidence, does it? Anyway, the author then goes on to talk about the history of currencies and the financial markets and all of those things. And he says that throughout history, we have used physical money in exchange for goods and services. But nowadays, we've come a long way over the past decade because of because of the internet, because of electronic transfers, and the digitization. I've got it of the banking system means that we are a lot more comfortable these days transacting digitally rather than physically by giving money or giving checks or giving gold or whatever it is. So we're going very, very quickly towards a cashless society, and COVID-19 has really pushed it along, because there are a number of venues that you go to now with COVID-19 where they say that we don't take cash. It's a cashless event, or it's a cashless venue. I was at the Hunter Valley a couple of weeks ago, and I went to buy some drinks for some friends of mine, and I pulled out $50, and they looked at me and I said, well, it's cashless. And I didn't have my wallet on me, but thank God I tapped my pockets and I had my credit card just sitting there by luck, not by not through planning. So that the author here says that now we enjoy digitization, and physical currency is more outdated now than what it ever was before, and it's redundant, and possibly it's ready for change. I know that Greece is very much still into the cash, and cash is king in Greece. And I do note that there are businesses here in Australia which still favour cash, small businesses, and if you pay by card, they actually charge you extra, which is a bit crazy, but that's the way it is. So the first formal point. So let's get on to some formal points here. The first formal point to come out of this book summary is where the author talks about the intricacies of Bitcoin and how they are both fascinating and very, very useful. Just bear with me. Fascinating and useful. So what we're saying is, where and when and how did Bitcoin come about? That's one of those questions that everybody has. And strangely enough, they say here that in January 2009, so 12 years ago, more than 12 years ago, a programmer by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto had an idea. He came up with an idea. One person came up with an idea of having a digital currency, a thing called a Bitcoin. And he used open source coding, which was public and can't be controlled by the banks or the government, and basically put together a source code, a program to build the framework around this thing called digital currency. So it came up with an idea, and through programming and through mapping it out and doing this and doing that, he was able to build the foundation, I guess, of cryptocurrency. The key points that differentiates Bitcoin from physical currency and digital currency is, unlike a bank account where transactions are secret, they say here that the Bitcoin has a communal database. So rather than having a private database, which a bank's got one, the other bank's got one, and all the different banks have got their own private database and system. What we're saying here is that Bitcoin has a public database which is replicated across computers all over the world. So it's not located in any one place. It's a distributed software and database. So no one person can control it, and it's not located in any one particular place where you can put your hand on it and touch it and feel it. So the bank account or the communal database is called a thing called a blockchain. So the blockchain is the database that sits below the Bitcoin and generates Bitcoins. So there's a thing called a blockchain that everybody can see. The transactions within the blockchain are visible to everybody. And every Bitcoin, every single Bitcoin, and there's a limit of 22 million Bitcoins that can be produced or can be mined. Every Bitcoin can be identified to the transactions and to who particularly owns them. However, they say that you can be anonymous, as there is no limit to how many accounts or how many wallets you have, and all you need is an email address. So the beauty about Bitcoin is that you don't depend on a bank, you don't depend on a government, that you don't depend on a central bank, you don't depend on anybody, and you've got no skimming of fees. You own the Bitcoin, you own your account, and it can be transferred, it can be transacted virtually anywhere across the world instantaneously. There's no 3 days waiting for it to get released and all of the other argy-bargy that goes on when you're transferring funds, for example, overseas. You don't have exchange risks. The exchange rate doesn't go up and down, even though the Bitcoin value goes up and down. So that's something to think about. And as I said, at the moment, Bitcoin is very, very volatile. It can go up 10,000. It can go up 30% or 25%, down 25% within a week. So we're talking about a lot of volatility at the moment. But what they're saying is that with time, that volatility will flatten out as we get more volume of Bitcoin and it becomes more, hopefully, more established and more stable. But things just happen on a daily basis, so it's not all that stable at the moment. But that's what makes it high risk, and with high risk comes high reward and also big pain if it doesn't work your way. So big gains or potentially big losses. That's what high risk, high return means. So with Bitcoin, you don't need a PIN code, you don't need passwords, as the code is encrypted, secretly encrypted, and unbreakable, apparently. So you've got both public and a private part to the cryptography. So in terms of this system, apparently, to make it easy to understand, is it's very, very secure, it's very, very quick, you can transfer anywhere to anyone, and it's very, very auditable and safe. That's the marketing spin. I don't know how true it is, but that's the marketing spin. They go on to talk about examples like Argentina. So Argentina's financial crisis is a perfect example of how Bitcoin is going to change the world. So what we're saying is that Argentina's financial crisis came from the government controlling, printing money, and getting things all messed up, knee-jerk reactions, and a whole stack of things, trying to peg the currency to other currencies, and they experienced some really, really big inflation, which caused the currency to be worthless. So what they're saying is that the good thing about Bitcoin is that you're protected from this government influence. Now, some government influence could be really, really good and really, really useful and really, really powerful, and yet other government influence, especially in corrupt governments and corrupt countries or incompetent governments and countries, can work the other way. So what we found out is that in Argentina, rapid inflation causes currency to lose its value. But, over the same time, as an example, Bitcoin has risen in value, whereas the peso, the Argentinian peso, has fallen in value. So what we're trying to suggest here is that if the country use Bitcoin as their financial system, and I'm drawing a long bow now, so I don't know if this is accurate or not, but this is what the author is trying to suggest, then things would have been a lot better for them economically and from a socio-economic level as well. So from a country level and from a people perspective. The third formal point to come out of this book is that Bitcoin is apparently, according to this author, superior to traditional money in a lot of ways. And the example that we're using here is because Bitcoin is disruptive. It is disrupting the financial systems. Just like the internet freed information up and made communication instantaneous, free, ubiquitous, so too, Bitcoin can free money from banks and governments and set it free. Release it from the tamperings and the manipulations and the massaging and all of the other things that come from both good and bad governments and banks who want to make their fees. But the most important thing to come out of the Bitcoin is that transfers are instantaneous without fees, but it's all based on trust. Because our financial system, the financial system that we have in Australia here, is based on trust. Now, we trust that the government is going to underwrite and to support the banks, and the banks support each other, and we've got the central bank at the top. But what we're saying is here with Bitcoin, the technology that's involved, the platform that it's based on, the powerful blockchain database is a powerful verification system, which is clearly auditable, and one blockchain is linked to the previous blockchain, but they're also got elements of both of them together, so it can't be broken. And then once the blockchain is completed, then a new blockchain is created, and a new Bitcoin is mined by getting supercomputers from all over the world to solve these complex mathematical equations. I don't know how all of that works, but apparently a lot of grunt work, a lot of effort needs to go in order to mine a Bitcoin, and that's what gives it value. That it requires effort to get one Bitcoin out of the system, and that the number of Bitcoins are limited to 22 million Bitcoins, which hopefully they say will probably get mined by about 2040. Don't know if I'll be around in 2040, but hopefully my children will be, and my grandchildren as well. So something to think about. So what they're saying is that this powerful verification system known as blockchain, everybody can view it, everybody can see it, they can view it, but they can't manipulate it, which makes it beautiful. So it can be audited, it's clean, it's clear, it's clean, it's tamper-proof, which makes it, gives it a distinct advantage. So what they're saying here is the uses of Bitcoin will evolve out over time. So we don't really know how Bitcoin, how the transactions, how it's going to evolve, because all of that is happening as we speak. And unlike the physical currency, unlike the digital currency, the digital banking systems, this new technology, from what this author is suggesting and saying, is that it's going to be operating in ways that are beyond what we can imagine. So this is where the advantages are. Because technology is changing at a rapid rate, because we've got artificial intelligence, because we've got globalization, we've got collaboration, we've got internet access, we've got smartphones, we've got so many things happening at the one time, and data and information happening faster and faster and faster. What we're saying is that Bitcoin is going to facilitate that new world, which needs speed, which needs clarity, which needs security, and of course needs trust. So we've got a long way to go still from a Bitcoin perspective. Some people talk about Bitcoin growing to $600,000 or $700,000 this year. It got as high as 61,000 US, and they're talking about it growing to maybe, I think it was I forget now, $2 million or $12 million, actually, $12 million. $12 million by 2030. So one Bitcoin that's worth $30,000 today, they're saying in less than 10 years could be worth 12 million US dollars. So that's why people want to speculate in it. That's why people get excited about it, because there's big money potentially to be made from it. But time will tell. I'm not convinced at the moment, because there's so much going on. But it's not saying that I'm not interested in having a go. So maybe buying one or two Bitcoins, spending $50,000 or $100,000 and taking the risk. Depending on what your portfolio of investment is, maybe throwing $100,000 at something and just putting it in the back of your superannuation account and just having it there just in case something does take off, could be the wise thing to do. I'm not talking about selling your house and buying Bitcoin. I'm not telling you to take all your superannuation money and buying Bitcoin. But like everything, we need, and the lesson that we've learned over our lives is that we need multiple income sources in order to survive and to thrive. You can't get through life on one income alone. You can't get through life by having a salary and having a couple of rentals. You need a little bit of everything. You need some shares, you need dividends, you need capital growth in property, you need rental income, and you need a bit of other stuff as well. And Bitcoin could be one of those elements that you could have in your portfolio, a small element, $100,000 worth, that could supercharge the overall return of your portfolio. So there you go. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me on this animated Jim's 5am Club. I thought I'd just change my style just for a moment, because it's all about getting the right feel and getting the right sort of tempo. And I will continue to try different ways of delivering my 5am clubs, because I am committed to it. I really enjoy it. I enjoy learning, and more importantly, I also enjoy passing it on to those who find it of interest. Not everybody's going to find it of interest, of course. So let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable. And most importantly, let's have at least keep an eye on what's happening in the investment world. At this point in time, we've had this massive V-shape recovery in the economy and in share markets throughout the world. The biggest recovery in the history of mankind. Trillions of dollars have been gained over the past year and a half. People's superannuation accounts have never been as bloated as what they are at the moment. So it's good news. Properties taking off. Jobs, the jobless rate is down to 5.1%, which is really good. And the prospects for Australia look very good. Like everything, we all invest when we can afford to invest, and money at the moment is very cheap to use. So OPM, other people's money is cheap, so you can use it to fund and to leverage investments. But like everything, everything is risky, and as we said, there's high risk, high reward, but high risk also means big losses. So please don't take my my vlog as something that you need to act on. I'm just expressing my own thoughts about what I see and what I may be doing, but don't in any way, shape or form take it and blame me if something doesn't go according to your plans. Take care, everybody. Vlakia, Yassas, and we'll chat again from a different location with a different message, a message of empowerment, where we can be the wind beneath our wings, where we can live, learn and pass it on, and hopefully share in each other's experiences. And I do look forward to seeing your vlogs one day. It's not much fun if I just do it myself. I do it, I love it, and my recommendation is, if you're a 10-year-old kid, get your phone and start vlogging. There's nothing better, there's nothing more fulfilling than to express what you've learnt and to pass it on where possible, because the greatest lessons that we learn in life are peer-to-peer. That's it. Take care. Bye-bye. Ciao.